Hello and welcome to New Central Television. I am Lekon Onobanjo. The top stories at this hour. Nigeria's former military head of state. Nigeria's former military head of state, Ibrahim Babangida, acknowledges late MKO Abiola as winner of June 12, 1993 presidential election. Tinubu signs bills establishing new federal universities in Osun, Ekiti. South Africa urges cooperation at G20 summit amidst tensions over Ukraine. Details to come your way shortly. We begin with a revelation by Nigeria's former military head of state, Ibrahim Babangida, who for the first time in 32 years publicly conceded that the late Moshood Kashimawo Abiola, popularly known as MKO, won the controversial 1993 presidential election. General Babangida was speaking at the launch of his memoir titled A Journey in Service in Abuja, where he told the gathering that the annulment of the poll was in extreme national interest. Cyril Abaku filed in the report.
The high-profile lunch attracted a host of dignitaries, including President Bola Tinubu and former presidents Olusegun Obasanjo, Yakubu Gowon, Abdulsalami Abubakar, and Goodluck Jonathan. The event was chaired by Obasanjo, while the keynote address was delivered by former president of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo.
The book will be reviewed, read, quoted, praised, and lambasted, as some will agree with you in part, and some will disagree with you in part. Some may even wholly disagree with you. Why should you write the book? It is self-glorification, they will say. Controversy may even develop. It's all good for you, and it's good for the book, and for our nation-building process.
And for our prospects of effective integration to materialize, the Federal Republic of Nigeria has to assume her historic responsibilities and lead our development towards an integrated democratic West Africa and Africa. That evolution cannot succeed without you, but you will be its greatest beneficiary.
Former Vice President Yemi Osinbajo reviewed Babangida's memoir.
Upon closer examination of the original collated figures from the 110 polling booths nationwide, it was clear that he satisfied the two main constitutional requirements for winning the presidential elections, mainly majority votes and geographical spread. Having obtained 8,128,720 votes against TOFA's 5,848,247 votes, and securing the mandatory 1/3 of the votes cast in 28 states of the Federation, including Abuja. I am gratified that the Buhari administration finally recognized him as a former head of state of Nigeria.
Son of the celebrator also had some words.
One person who would have loved to be here today, who would have loved to share in this very special moment, would have been our late dear mother and the former First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Dr. Mrs. Mariam Babangida.
But such fond memories were not in short supply.
When I visited your school, I said, if you can join the army. And your headmaster at that time, or head of school at that time, was one famous teacher called Mr. Onimole. And I think there are about 10 of you who, in the end, decided to join the army.
Then came the moment many had anticipated. It gave the celebrator a historic opportunity to appeal to the nation's conscience.
As the leader of the military administration, I accept full responsibility for all decisions taken under my watch. And June 12 happened under my watch. Mistakes, oversights, and missteps happened in quick succession. Our nation's march to democracy was interrupted, a fact that I deeply regret.
President Bola Tinubu also weighed in with thoughts on the path Nigeria must be on to attain her vital destiny.
I confronted you that you had an opportunity to make history that day, and you failed to do it. Why not inaugurate us? Why are you calling us back and postponing the inauguration day? They thought I will end up in jail. You came out right at the end of the remark. You shook me. I can't forget that picture. You said, you are courageous.
The book also offers insight into key moments in the country's history, including the 1976 coup attempt that led to the assassination of the then head of state, Murtala Mohammed, and the 1986 letter bomb that killed investigative journalist Delegiwa, among others.
Meanwhile, Afsat Abiola Costello, founder of the Kudirat Initiative for Democracy and one of the daughters of the late MKO Abiola, has been speaking about General Ibrahim Babangida's public acceptance of her late father's victory in the June 12, 1993 presidential polls. In a rousing statement seen by News Central, she said, and I quote, "When anyone mentions June 12, my mind always goes to MKO and Kudirat. But June 12's staying power was because the votes that Nigerians expressed that day was a vote for a better future and for unity. MKO may have been the symbol of the Hope 93 campaign, but June 12 was about more than one man. It was about the promise of Nigeria that would deliver for Nigerians. For those that kept expressing doubt that Nigerians had spoken so decisively on that day, I am glad that General IBB's admission that MKO won the election can now lay the matter to rest. It is sad that such a galvanizing statement as the breakthrough vote for MKO should have been truncated by an unjust annulment, but I will be forever grateful to both MKO and Kudirat for not allowing their fears for their personal safety stand in the way of the people's desire for a better Nigeria. May such commitment endure." End of quote. Earlier, one of late MKO Abiola's son, Abdul Mumin Abiola, joined us on the news. Let's bring you these thoughts.
Yes, there are more questions that this revelation brings up. But in the interest of the message that my father was trying to get across in 1993, in that interest of the hope that was created in Nigeria in that time, it might be a little, you said it yourself, we're all jaded, we're all traumatized by the events of that time. It might just be worse if we try to keep, there'll be more revelations to come up. But I think what we should more focus on, let's not focus on who won the elections, who did not win the elections, but what was the message? What was my father trying to get across? How is Nigeria today compared to that time? Some of those issues being addressed. And I think if we focus on that, we find that during my father's time, maybe we're like 120 million people. Now we're like 280 or 220. If we're 220 million, is the situation that was once like farewell to poverty in 1993 is now farewell to disaster now. So I think it's most important that we acknowledge that people make mistakes. It's human to error. And now that he has come up to say that he feels regret and remorse, he has also seen the effects of those decisions that were made. I'm not going to belittle
the courage to say this out loud.
Former head of state, but I will just say that him and my father were friends. I think when they were taking my father to jail, he was saying, "Babangida is my friend." It's like, I'm not going to cry more than the bereaved, but what I will say is the message, the hope that my father and my mother sacrificed their lives for, the hope for a better Nigeria, is now vested in me to move that forward. So my motivation and my my drive is not to talk about my mom being killed on the streets of Lagos. No, it's not to talk about what happened to my father, but to get that hope, the hope for a better Nigeria. I think that's all we all want. So yes, Babangida has come to talk about June 12, but like you have to understand that this was not necessarily only about my father. There were many other people that went there, like Ken Sarawiwa. There were so many people that I'm sure the book would also have more light to shed on their situation. But I think what's the most important is how is Nigeria moving forward? I'm sorry.
Away from that, Nigeria's federal government has unveiled the Nutrition 774 initiative to address the challenge of malnutrition, which in children is seen. Nigeria's Vice President Kashim Shettima says unhealthy diet in children will inadvertently lower productivity and slow economic growth.
About 40% of Nigerian children under 5 suffer from stunting, 8% from wasting, and 27% are underweight. These are not just numbers, they represent the faces of children whose futures are at risk before they even begin. This is why the Nutrition 774 initiative is not only an urgent, but also a turning point. By focusing on grassroots impact, we'll ensure that mothers and children across all communities have access to critical nutrition support where it matters most. This initiative is therefore an invitation to all stakeholders, our governors, ministers, local government chairmen, development partners, and the private sector to take action. It is also a pledge to the people of Nigeria that we will not stand by while our children suffer the preventable consequences of malnutrition.
We have made progress, but we need to interrogate from time to time and do better. And under your leadership, and as witnessed today with this launch, you are yet again taking steps to ensure that all the subnationals are incorporated and their importance is appreciated. And as Mr. President once gave the charge here at the National Economic Council, you and your Mr. President stand ready to support all subnationals to ensure that nutritional outcomes, among other outcomes, are enhanced and made better.
Talking about Nigeria's education sector, President Bola Tinubu has signed into law 2 bills establishing new federal universities in Osun and Ekiti states. This was disclosed by the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga. The Federal University of Agriculture and Development Studies in Iragbiji, Osun State, and the Federal University of Technology and Environmental Sciences in Ekiti, Ekiti State, are expected to address the educational needs of Nigerians, drive research and innovation, and boost the country's economic growth. The President expressed hopes that these institutions will serve as training grounds for developing agriculture, science, and technology professionals, enhancing Nigeria's competitiveness in the global economy. Nigeria currently has 63 approved federal universities, 63 state universities, and 149 private universities, according to the National Universities Commission. We'll now tell you that the Central Bank of Nigeria has announced its decision to maintain the current monetary policy stance following the Monetary Policy Committee meeting held on Thursday. The monetary policy rate will remain unchanged at 27.50%. We have details in this report. The Central Bank of Nigeria's Monetary Policy Committee retained interest rate benchmark at 27.50% at the 299th meeting. This decision marks a departure from the previous trend, signaling a period of observation and assessment as the economy navigates a complex landscape.
The committee was unanimous in its decision to hold all parameters and thus decided as follows. Retain the MPR at 27.50%. 0.50%. Retain the asymmetric corridor around the MPR at plus 500 to minus 100 basis points. Retain the cash reserve ratio of deposit money banks at 50% and merchant banks at 16%. Retain the liquidity ratio at 30%.
The latest MPC decision after the recent rebasing of the gross domestic product and consumer price index, which saw inflation fall from 34.80% to 24.48%, provides a new perspective on the cautious approach being taken.
The committee noted the recent rebasing of the Consumer Price Index, CPI, by the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, which reviewed the weights of items in the consumption basket to reflect current consumption patterns.
With inflation having come down by 1,000 basis points, the natural expectation would have been that the NPR would have to reduce to drive growth, but we all know that inflation coming down to 24% is a result of rebasing, not because inflation itself has reduced. So the MPC decision at the moment is, I don't think they had any other option. I think the only thing they could do was hold, and then they would have to go back to the drawing board and determine how to respond to this rather unusual, if not unprecedented situation.
With this latest monetary decision, the coming months will be crucial in determining whether the CBN's cautious approach is the right one, if further adjustments will be made, if the financial and business markets will improve, and ultimately, if Nigerians will feel the impact. In Lagos for News Central, Lekon Onobanjo.
Earlier,
an economic analyst, Mukhtar Mohammed, joined us to interrogate the MPC outcomes.
There's no economy in the world whereby to drive down inflation you do rebasing. There's no economy in the world that has done that. Rebasing is not a tool that deals with inflation. So that's why I'm saying it's awkward, because you are using rebasing as a tool to deal with inflation. You see, if you look at that NBS report, food inflation is still high, exchange rate is still high, cost of living is still high. There's nothing that has come down based on that. So the only thing that has come down is the total inflation figure because of rebasing. So rebasing is not a tool that brings down inflation. Rebasing is a tool for you to see more new advancement in the economy, and how that advancement can attract new investors to grow the economy and create growth. It is the first time we are seeing the noise about rebasing all about reducing inflation. It's not a tool that helps to reduce inflation. It's a tool that identifies new areas in the economy to attract new investors, not to bring down inflation. Because on reality, you said inflation has come down by 10%. Food inflation has come down from high, but that's not true. You just need to go to the market, and then you realize that nothing has happened.
You're watching News Central now. We'll go on a very short break. When we return, we'll tell you about tempers that fled in the Senate yesterday. Just stay with us. We'll bring you the details. Many thanks for staying with us. We'll now take you to the National Assembly. Tempers flared in the Senate on Thursday when the lawmaker representing Kogi Central, Natasha Akpoti, was reassigned another seat. The adjustment of a seating arrangement was as a result of the vacuum created by the movement of Senators Ned Nwoko and Francis Ezenwa from the PDP to the APC, enabling them to move seats to the ruling aisle of the divide. News Central's National Assembly correspondent, Sagir Ibrahim, tells us more.
The seating rearrangement was necessitated following the defection of lawmakers Ned Nwoko and Francis Ezenwa to the All Progressives Congress, prompting a new allocation of seats by the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio. Under the new arrangement, Natasha Akpoti of Kogi Central was assigned to a new seat, which she declined, insisting on remaining in her previous position, leading to a mild drama during plenary.
Pursuant to the provisions of our rules and in the exercise of the powers conferred on the Senate President to resume her new seat. If not, the Senate President may decide to exercise the powers conferred on him not to allow her to contribute to any debate.
Recognized to speak from there. That is the order of the Senate.
Sir, Order 10 on privileges. Order 10 on privileges.
Distinguished Senator Natasha.
Any senator may rise at any time
can the
to
Sergeant
speak
at Arms
upon a matter of privilege suddenly
take her out of the
arising,
Senate.
and he shall be prepared to move without notice. A motion declaring that the contempt of breach of
Show
privilege
me the
has
session
been
that allows suspension immediately.
In response, the Kogi caucus in the National Assembly urged the President of the Senate to prevent further escalation, while also demanding that Akpoti apologizes to the Senate.
What you have done, you have the power to do it. You did it at the best interest of the Senate. I don't know why. I will want her to at least come out and apologize to us because of our behavior this morning.
This will not repeat itself again under any other scenario. It will not repeat itself again. We're going to cancel her. We're going to talk to her.
In the end, Akpabio called for calm, urging the matter be resolved amicably in the interest of national unity and legislative focus. In Abuja for News Central, I'm Sagir Ibrahim.
Let's now go to Edo State, where the State House of Assembly has sacked with immediate effect political appointees attached to the members of the House. Speaker Blessing Agbebaku announced their sack during plenary session in Benin. He said that the decision was taken by the 24 members of the House, adding that the political appointees sacked would be paid their February salary. It listed the appointees to include special advisors, senior special advisors, among others. The Speaker said the appointees were appointed by the members upon assumption of the 8th Assembly in June 2023. Now, a group called Coalition for Good Governance has asked the Nigerian police, the DSS and other security agencies to investigate the rising number of alleged political killings in Osun State. At a press briefing in Lagos, convener of the group, Nelson Ekujimi, says he is worried that the state has become very unsecure due as a result of violent disagreements between members of political parties in the state. Ekujimi wants peace restored immediately before the situation in and around the state deteriorates.
Nigerians of goodwill must caution and advise and prevail on Governor Ademola Adeleke and the Osun State Independent Electoral Commission to put on hold the local government election slated for this Saturday, February 22, 2025. We implore the Nigerian Police Force, the DSS and other security agencies in the country to extend their invitation to Senator Lere Oyewumi and Honorable Ibrahim Inaolaji in connection with the gruesome murder of late Remi Abbas. We are not holding them responsible, but we are asking that they have been fingered in the murder of this gentleman.
We are appealing to all political gladiators to say, look, we have gone through 26 years of uninterrupted democratic governance. I think our political class should have learned their lessons. They should have known where to stop. Toying with the lives of an average Nigerian is, I mean, it's heinous. It's hard rough.
Unacceptable.
It's unacceptable to us that people will sit down, plan and execute the killing of an opponent, and they walk away like.
We'll also tell you that operatives of Amotekun Corps in Ondo State have intercepted more than 100 individuals without clear destinations and suspected to have criminal intentions to attack farm settlements The state commander of the corps, Adetunji Adeleye, says the individuals were transported in 2 trucks said to be dispersed along the forest belt of the state, beginning at Ore. Adeleye adds that security agencies have been engaged in running battles with strangers infiltrating the forests in Ondo State in the last few weeks.
Over 100 of these people were loaded with trucks, 2 trucks, and they were about to be distributed along the forest belt of the state, starting from Ore End, Ofosu, Ore End. We have profiled them, and we found out that all of them, with the exception of only 3, do not even know where they were being taken to. They don't have an idea. Their masters just sent them into the forest to await further directives. The governor has therefore directed that they be sent back to where they came from. We want to appeal to the general public not to harbor unknown criminals, not to harbor visitors that you don't know their whereabouts or where they came from.
In a related development, members of Zaka community in Safana local government area of Katsina State say their lands are being invaded by bandits. Last month, the community came under fire from the Nigerian Air Force during a routine raid of terrorist hideouts. Residents say their farmlands have been confiscated across 5 local districts, leaving them with no means of livelihood. News Central's Emmanuel Bagudu has the details.
It's a mini town hall session here in Zaka village, Safana local government area of Katsina State. These community members are saying that they have been under siege by bandits who have forcefully taken over their lands in the last few years. They various unpleasant ordeals ranging from attacks to abductions. Anytime they free the hostages, they normally send them with a message to inform everyone that they are planning to take over this Zakat town.
I can say it and I can repeat it even in front of the governor of Katsina State, because we discussed the issue with him, me and him and all the subordinates, including the district head of the car here there.
I picked this cassava to cook for my children. Then all of a sudden, I heard my son scream saying, "Daddy," when I turned, I just saw this wicked bandit Harisu place a gun on my ear. His second now place another gun on my stomach. God help me, all my children ran away and left me with one child who couldn't run. They now kidnapped us. I asked them, "Where are we going?" And they said, "I know where they are going." I answered, "Yes. Is it not Yoni? Let's go." I now follow the main road, and he said I should not follow the main road, that I should follow the bush, that they only understand bush language. When I followed the bush, we arrived at a spot where a brand new motorcycle was parked. Nobody has that kind of motorcycle here, not even our security operatives here. Brand new. He pushed me down and tied my hands and said I should hold my son. And I said, "You tied my hand, I can't hold my son." They now untied me. We then moved to Damji, the next village, where he stopped and announced to the villagers to leave their farms because they are the ones telling the people of Zakat town that bandits are coming to attack them. Local government election day was the same day the airstrike and the attack happened, because the bandits were informed that the electoral officers will be coming to conduct elections. So the bandits were informed to stop the election and kidnap and kill everyone they can.
Mutanen Zakka tunda aka fara ta'addanci, iyayen 'yan ta'addan nan suna shigowa garinmu, muna tare da su.
Since this terrorism started, we have been seeing these terrorists visit our community, and we had a cordial relationship with their wives and husbands. No Zakka resident or any security personnel have ever harmed them. Abubakar Bazata is a 72-year-old resident, one who has borne the brunt of banditry, as his only child was kidnapped and murdered even after he had paid ransom to secure his release. My son was killed, and again on Saturday, during the attack and airstrike, my grandchild was also killed. He just came to me and said, "Baba, I'm going out, but they're bringing you food." The next time I hear from him was seeing his lifeless body. He was killed by bandits. Some of the community members believe government's inability to end banditry speaks of collusion and compromise.
Now, we know there is one belief, we say government inaction is also an action which serves as government policy. This means that government of Kaduna State government are supporting banditry issue. That is the clear, that is our belief.
With just one road serving as the only entry and exit points out of the community, this has made escape by residents extremely difficult when attacked by bandits and kidnappers. In Katsina for News Central, I am Emmanuel Bagudu.
Now, we tell you that the Nigerian government is set to roll out new development interventions in Northeast to revitalize communities affected by over 13 years of insurgency. During a visit to Maiduguri, the Minister of Regional Development announced that these initiatives will focus on rebuilding infrastructure, stimulating economic growth and strengthening security. News Central Sumar Kirawa has the details in this report.
Minister of Regional Development, accompanied by key officials of the Northeast Development Commission, embarked on an assessment tour to evaluate ongoing projects and engage with stakeholders.
And I believe everybody in Nigeria knew that Borno is the epicenter of the insurgents. So a lot of infrastructures have been destroyed. But with the coming of Northeast Development, there's a lot of intervention in that aspect. And a lot have been done on our recovery process. I'm happy you're showing a willingness to collaborate with the Commission to bring more development.
Addressing residents, the minister urged patience, emphasizing that collaboration between the federal and state governments is crucial for sustainable progress.
When we started intervention here, as the House of People say, Benin quality. You have seen it in your witnesses. And I'm sure the medical director, as part of the work, will also mention some of the things which the work has to do. We have started the process for not escalating to the point of the ministerial level, but very soon we will do that.
We intend to intensify collaboration to fast-track ongoing projects, initiate new interventions where necessary, and work with local stakeholders to ensure that development is inclusive and impactful. Together, we will make Borno State a model for post-conflict recovery and sustainable development.
As part of the initiative, electric vehicles are set to debut in Maiduguri, with the minister taking a test ride in the newly procured fleet. Charging stations are also under construction.
They don't have funding issues at all, so there are no problems. We are not anticipating any.
Should we expect more support from the federal government?
The federal government is already supporting NEDC the way it should be, and there are no problems at all. It's one government and it's an agency of government. Why wouldn't the federal government support NEDC and in fact all other commissions?
From healthcare investments at the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital and the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital to housing and road infrastructure projects, the government has reaffirmed its commitment to addressing the region's long-standing challenges. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umoru Kirawa.
Let's now tell you that the legal market structures at the popular Idumota on the bridge have been demolished by operatives of the Kick Against Indiscipline Task Force under the Lagos State government. The demolition exercise, which began on Thursday morning, saw the removal of illegal kiosks, warehouses, and makeshift stores set up around the Iju-Ishadbe axis of the markets. News Central's Omololo Lolade was on the scene and filed in this report.
Once a bustling hub of commercial activity has now been reduced to rubble. Traders and buyers who once thrived in the Idumota underbridge market watched as Kai officials enforced the demolition order. The exercise, which started in the early hours of Thursday, left many traders devastated. While some managed to salvage their goods, they expressed deep concerns over the loss of their kiosks and uncertainty about where to conduct their business.
We have over 300 women, 300 people that are there. That's my own market. So we have a lot of people here. And we have people that have goods, lots of goods here. This I can't say. At least my own shop now I have close to 3 million plus or 2 something million. So I had to rush and pack everything the way. And we have people that have more than me, much more than me.
From the dumping, I was sleeping. They collapsed everywhere. I moved to Peleuga, the same thing. And this market again, I was just managed, and everywhere is collapsed. I'm a student also. I'm doing the POS. I don't have anything as an option.
Authorities say the market, located under a bridge and beside the lagoon, obstructed the drainage system and posed environmental and security risks, reasons cited for the demolition.
Let Lagos breathe. All the shanties under our pedestrian bridges in Lagos, we will take out all illegal structures. That is directive from the state. I was here last Friday. I was here with Commissioner on Saturday. We gave them 48 hours, which expires on Tuesday. We still had it one day, yesterday, Wednesday, and today we started the demolition. They can't say we didn't give them enough notice. We gave them enough notice. The drainage people, they are trying to clear all the drainages that they have blocked. We are equally removing all these structures, illegal structures, under the bridge.
This marks the second major demolition by the Lagos state government in 2 months, following the clearance of the Sele underbridge market. The move aligns with the Ministry of Environment and Water Resources' ongoing effort to remove shanties and illegal market structures across the state. In Lagos for News Central, Omolola Ololade.
Coming up on the news, Moroccan authorities foil extremist plot to arrest 12 suspects. We'll tell you more and bring you other stories in a short while. Don't go away. Now we tell you that South African President Cyril Ramaphosa officially opened the G20 Foreign Ministers meeting in Johannesburg. The meeting, held under South Africa's G20 presidency, themed Solidarity, Equality and Sustainability, is part of a series of ministerial gatherings leading up to the G20 Leaders Summit in November. Discussions are expected to center on global geopolitical tensions, economic cooperation and diplomatic relations. News Central's Wangana Siziba has more in this report.
Against a backdrop of vibrant culture and rich heritage, the G20 summit is unfolding in the heart of Johannesburg in South Africa. Leaders from the world's largest economies gather, uniting to address pressing global issues that transcend borders. President Cyril Ramaphosa, as the current G20 presidency holder, stands at the forefront of a coalition aimed at addressing the pressing challenges facing global economies today. In his opening remarks, he emphasized unity, collaboration and sustainable development, a theme resonating strongly within the context of South Africa's leadership.
This summit's location underscores the need for African voices to be heard on critical global issues like sustainable development, the digital economy, and the shift towards the green energy. It is a great opportunity, too, to promote greater collaboration between African nations and the rest of the world.
He also addressed the geopolitical tensions, saying it threatens collective progress and that it's time to prioritize diplomacy over division, dialogue over discord.
Geopolitical tensions and rising intolerance, conflict and war, climate change, pandemics, and energy and food insecurity do threaten an already fragile global coexistence. These challenges are interconnected. They require responses that are inclusive and responses that should be well coordinated.
With such a pivotal agenda, the presence of major economies is crucial. However, the United States' involvement is drawing particular attention, especially with sending the acting ambassador in attendance, questioning whether this indicates a shift in diplomatic relations between South Africa and the U.S.
Look, it's a concern, but mostly because the U.S. is part of the Troika. They're supposed to take over the presidency from South Africa next year. And the Troika members normally work together on what are the key issues that we need to hand over, what are the key continuity points. And so we will be hoping to engage with the Sherpa to ensure that this does take place.
As leaders convene on South Africa, the message is clear: collaboration, understanding and resilience are vital for overcoming the global challenges faced. As the president of the G20, South Africa carries the weight of not only its national interest, but also of those of the continent. This meeting serves as a unique platform for African nations to voice their concerns on global issues, ensuring that their perspectives are included in a larger conversation. At the Nasrec Center in Johannesburg, for News Central, Bongani Siziba.
Outside of Africa, we tell you that China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi has expressed optimism about a potential peaceful resolution to the Ukraine crisis, stating that a window for peace is opening. This comes after a meeting between the top U.S. and Russian diplomats in Saudi Arabia, where they agreed to establish teams to negotiate a path to ending the war. Wang Yi emphasized China's support for all efforts to achieve peace, including the recent consensus reached between the U.S. and Russia. He hopes that all parties involved can find a sustainable and lasting solution that addresses each other's concerns. The development has sparked mixed reactions, with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky criticizing his nation's exclusion from the Riyadh meeting. Away from that, Israel has accused Hamas of breaching a ceasefire agreement, claiming that one of the 4 bodies returned by Hamas is not that of Shiri Bibas. Israel's military confirmed that 2 of the bodies were those of Bibas's children, Ariel and Kfir, but the 3rd body was unidentified. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed to secure the return of Shiri and all other captives, deceased or alive. He emphasized that Hamas would be held accountable for this breach of the agreement. Hamas has not responded to Israel's claims. This marked the first time Hamas has returned the remains of hostages. Shiri Bibas, along with her children, became a symbol of the October 7, 2023 attack, with Hamas stating that they were killed in an Israeli airstrike. The 4th confirmed body belonged to the 85-year-old Oded Lifshitz. Talking business now, Nigeria's broad money supply surged to 110.98 trillion naira in January 2025, marking a 17.3% year-on-year increase from 94.61 trillion naira in January 2024, according to the Central Bank of Nigeria data. This rise is driven by higher net foreign and domestic assets, signaling improved reserves and increased borrowing. However, the CBN did not disclose December 2024 figures, creating a gap in monetary analysis. The Monetary Policy Committee meets this week to discuss more on interest rates. Net foreign assets climbed to 35.39 trillion naira, while domestic assets reached 75.59 trillion naira, reinforcing Nigeria's expanding financial landscape. In sports, Remo Stars extended their lead at the top of the 2024-2025 Nigeria Premier League football table to 10 points after a hard-fought 2-0 victory over Kwara United in Ikenne on Thursday. Despite a dominant first half, the Sky Blue Stars struggled to find the breakthrough until late in the game. Substitute Samuel Anikwe opened the scoring in the 79th minute, heading home after the goalkeeper spilled Junior Unduka's free kick. Another substitute, Haruna Hadi, sealed the win in stoppage time. With 51 points from 25 matches, Remo Stars sit comfortably ahead of Shooting Stars, who drew 2-2 with Lobi Stars. They face Nasarawa United next on Wednesday. We also tell you that Edo Queens midfielder Chioma Olise has signed for Turkish Women's Super League club Trabzonspor from Nigeria Women's Football League. The Super Falcons player penned a 1.5-year deal and will wear jersey number 16. Olise began a career with Royal Queens before making a mark at Edo Queens, where she won the 2023-2024 Nigeria Women's Football League title and the West Africa Zone Women's Champions League. She also captained Edo Queens to a 4th-place finish at the 2024 CAF Women's Champions League. Internationally, Olise played at the 2022 and 2024 FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cups and earned her Super Falcons debut in 2024, featuring in friendlies against Algeria. And that's all at this hour. But before we go, we'll look at our major stories again. Nigeria's former military head of state, Ibrahim Babangida, acknowledges late MKO Abiola as winner of June 12, 1993 presidential election. Tinubu signs bills establishing new federal universities in Osun and Ekiti states. We also told you that South Africa has urged for cooperation at G20 summit amidst tensions over Ukraine. Don't forget to watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times, channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Lekon Onobanjo.